Hello everybody. I think I'm going to do a little bit of speed scoring this evening, and I'll just make a quick melody and try to work on my 4-part writing. So just we'll do this in Dorico and just see what happens. Here we are in Dorico. Let's call this 4-part practice 9 because I'm doing this a lot lately, just trying to learn some more, or getting faster actually at more 4-part writing. Let's do something in D major maybe, and let's go. So the first thing I'm going to do is create a quick melody. So let's just make a 8-bar melody quickly and see if we can make something good enough to work with. And the first thing I try to do here is just come up with a quick motif, preferably something that has a bit of rhythm to it, that gives it a character. Yeah, I like the rhythm. So there I'm just borrowing some from the D minor, from the D major to the D minor, or actually it's a D Dorian. Let's start with that phrase, I like that. So actually this is a 12/8 figure. We could write them as triplets, but since it's so many of them, maybe this is more a and that's the feel of it. So then it's more practical maybe to write in 12/8. And I'll use the same rhythm to get a similar phrase. So this is a A, and maybe this is a A prime. It's the same rhythm. Now it's time for like a continuation phrase, and I'll use the same motif that we started with, and just this is the most busy part, so I'll use it as a kind of a rhythmic motor. And there we have it. Let's just listen to the melody we're gonna use as our basis for 4-part writing. That's a wrong tempo. Maybe 120. And dotted quarter note equals 120. Let's listen to it. Maybe a little bit quick. Maybe 110. So what I like to do is just trying to quickly go through and make a 4-part writing, 4-part harmonization of it. Because if you have the 4-part harmonization, you have a really great foundation to orchestrate, to do anything with it. So it's a very nifty skill to know how to do. And I'm trying to get better at it, so let's do some 4-part harmonization. First thing I'll do is just try to find the chords, because it makes the job easier for me. So this first chord is probably a G major, and the next chord maybe a G and an A. So let's see, a D, a G and an A, maybe an A7. This is just a 1 chord, a 4 chord and a 5 chord, and with that, as long as it's diatonic, you can use those 3 chords to harmonize any melody. It might be a bit plain, a bit vanilla, but it can work as a charm. So maybe end on the B minor there. I like that at least. That will be our goal. Let's make that into an A minor. So we have a deceptive cadence right here. Oh, A7, sorry. So, and when I'm gonna find chords, the first thing I do is try to see if the melody note can fit as a note in a chord. And of course, every note can fit into some chord or many chords. But I usually start with the triads to see if there are any good choices. So this one obvious choice is the 5th of the D major. But it can also be the root of A major. It can also be the 3rd F sharp minor. Or you can go non-diatonic and use maybe it's the 3rd of an F major. But then you have 4 chords in a row that are beside each other, and that's not that good, I think, just going up. So maybe it's just, yeah, I think I'll go just with the 1 chord again. In the context, since there's so many changes, I think it's good. So D, G, A7 and B minor. So this phrase is like sequenced chords. It's kind of a cliche thing, but you can use it as a root in A, in D. And then going to an A, and then just move. Since the melody is moving down a whole step, you can just move the chords to an C major. And then, of course, you can do B. Yeah, I like that. So what I did there was start with the D, going to an A, D, going to an A, and C, going to a G, and then continue the pattern for a bit, B, going to an F, which are non-diatonic chords because we are in D major, and at least the chords C, B, and F are not in D major. So G, A sus, A7 maybe, to D. So there we have our chords. So the first thing I'm going to do when I do 4-part writing is trying to figure out the bass, because the bass and the soprano voice between them, the 2 outer voices, they have a couple of extra rules. So I'm using a simplified, more modern set of rules. The most important things are avoiding parallel octaves, maybe fifths. Fifths are actually not that bad sounding in my opinion, but let's try to avoid them to keep to the old contrapunct rules. And also not doubling thirds. And something called a direct octave or fifth should be avoided between the 2 outer voices, because it lessens the independency of the voices. That's the point of this, to have independent voices. So I will start with the bass and check every note with the soprano. So let's start with the bass voice, and I'll just start by putting all the roots and changing them when I see trouble. So I'll just make them dotted half notes, and the first one is D. Those are actually, that's the direct octaves we talked about. So let's try to fix that. So now I just changed the octave and displaced the bass by an octave. So now they're at least approaching by opposite motion, which is usually fine for any interval. And this is a fifth, and this is a direct, no, it's not a direct fifth because it's opposite motion again, so this is fine. And also the soprano is approaching by step, so that's fine. This is a parallel fifth. And in modern counterpoint, it's not that bad, but let's try to keep with the rules, and we can make some movements in the bass, maybe. Because now this is a minor third going to a fifth. It's not actually completely fixed because it's a direct fifth, but it's better than a parallel fifth. Let's just listen to it. If in doubt, just listen to it. If it sounds good and you can hear both voices, it's fine. To me it sounds fine. I'm just going to keep it as is. These are more guidelines than rules anyway. This is a third, or 2 octaves in a third. And these are parallel thirds, so that's fine. Going to an octave, but this is staying still, so that's fine. This is moving, and this is standing still, and that's called oblique motion, and oblique motion can handle any movement. So if you see oblique motions, you don't have to correct for anything or really think any more about it, just that's fine. This is opposite motion, so you can handle any interval. This is a direct octave. So what we could try to do is just fix the bass a bit. And it's going to be the same for all because the melody is moving in sequence and so is the bass. So now they're approaching by opposite motion, which is fine. Let's make that an A. So that's moving up and that's moving down to this octave, so that's fine. That's a third, so this is a third and this is a third. This is a fourth, going to a third. And this is an octave, but it's okay. It's a direct octave because it's okay because the soprano is moving by step. And that's the rule that's fine. So this is the bass and the soprano. I actually didn't like that bass so much, so I'm going to trust my intuition that I don't think that sounds good even though it follows the rules. So one thing we can do to try and give it tension is just keeping the D and the bass. You can create some tension just having like a rooted chord tone laying there. Let's listen to that. Let's let it up. There, so the tension is building right here, and then here it's released. So tension and release. And that's opposite motion, that's fine. That's, oh yeah, the rest is fine, voice leading wise. Start keeping close to the melody, even sometimes you can start with unison, but here the melody is going down, and then we have voice crossing, which we are trying to avoid. So therefore we are going to start just on the root, trying to fill in the closest voice in the chord and trying to follow it along with the melody without jumping too much. So now I just follow the melody and the chords, and I try to hit chord tones nearby. So the top three lines are going to try and make the left side of this chord, and the bass is the D, D, D all the way. So let's go through and check it against both the soprano and the bass. So third, fine. Fourth, that's fine. Root, this is standing still, oblique motion is always fine. Here we are moving, but opposite motion of the bass. And the third is always fine. And this is a direct fifth, but that's fine because it's not the outer voices, it's the alto and the soprano. So here we have a problem. This is a parallel octave actually, which is really good. So let's make it into this is a third, so we could follow the bass maybe up to the, yes, let's do that. So these are thirds, parallel thirds with the bass, then that's fine. And now these are approaching in opposite motion, so that's fine. These are also opposite motion. This is oblique motion, so this is fine no matter what. These are sixths, but these are fifths. So let's try to solve the parallel fifths right here. It can sound fine, it's a beautiful sound actually. But it might not be as independent as this can be, so let's try to do some rhythmical. If you can't solve it but just changing and you love the voicing they hit on the main chord, you can always do some ornaments to try and fix it. So let's make these just plain old quarter notes, because now they're moving in opposite motion to the bass. Might be busy, too busy, but we'll just hear it. Yeah, it's fine. And this is just the same interval, and it's standing still, so that's fine. The sixth. This is standing still, so everything with the bass here is fine no matter what you do, because the bass is just standing still, so there is no risk of parallel anything because this is oblique motion. This is a sixth, 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 a fourth, that's fine. It's parallel fourths, but I don't care about that. That's a fifth. It's a seventh, a That's opposite motion, that's fine. A second to a fourth. That's oblique motion, so that's fine with anything. So I'm happy with that. Let's listen to it with 3 voices. Maybe I'll make them dotted 8th notes. Yeah, I like that. I think that sounds cool. And because I'm doing working with 4-part writing and trying to keep at least some basic, I'm not following, there's a lot of rules I'm not following, but keeping some basic 4-part principles in mind, I'm forced to change a bit of the harmony that I may not have changed and come up with some creative solutions. And suddenly you have maybe this, I wouldn't have thought about this tension part with the D in the bass all the way, just to trying to not have parallel fifths or octaves in the bass voice compared to the other ones. The tenor, it's going to be a voice that's just filling in the missing chord tones, and at the same time trying not to create at least parallel octaves and maybe not parallel fifths, and not doubling thirds. That's the most important things. And also trying to keep it melodic, not jumping around all the place. The bass can jump around a lot. The melody can jump around as it likes because it's the melody. But the alto and the tenor should try to move to the closest note in the next chord. And when it needs to do a leap, because of course they need to do leaps sometimes, you should try to follow that with a step. That's the basic rule. So, and now we have a third, we have double roots, we're missing a fifth, so let's try that. And we are missing a fifth again, but then you have to jump a lot, so maybe just stand still on the G. And we have 1/3, 1 root, 1/5, so maybe the 7th, and just stay on the G. And then we're back on the D. Now we have a 5th and 2 roots, but we're missing the 3rd, so maybe we'll go down to the 3rd here actually. And here we have the root, 5th and 3rd. Let's double the 5th. You have to change that into a dotted quarter notes. And now we have the 3rd already, so let's try not to double it. Maybe double the 5th instead. And here we can double the root again. We're actually missing the root, so let's put the A in there, and then C we can put in the 5th, we're missing that, and the G, we're missing the root actually, and then the B, we're missing the, try to do the 5th, and we're missing the 3rd actually, so that's an A, and then the next chord, we're missing the 3rd again. Triple the root, we could do that, or we could do the 5th. And let's get 7 in there, leading down to the 3rd. So let's check it. We have, that was supposed to be the 5th, I think. Here we're actually missing a 3rd. And it's a 3rd, that's fine. that's fine. And this is oblique, so that's fine. That's a third, sixth. So that is an F sharp to an A, so that's also a third. It's a direct octave, but that's fine. That's a fifth, but it's standing still, so it's fine. But and that's a third, so that's fine. It's standing still, so that's fine. And just like make the same rhythm here. And that's fine. That's an octave. And that's a direct octave, so that's a problem. Let's try making that just a regular dotted quarter note again. Yeah, then get the direct fifth, so that's better than the direct octave. Let's just triple the third. So that's a sixth, that's a third, so that's only octave, but it's approached by fifth, so it's fine. And this is fine, because this is standing still all the way, so just need to check against the other voices. That's a fifth, but it's not parallel. That's a sixth. Standing still, that's fine. And this is standing still, so that's fine. Opposite motion, that's fine. That's a sixth and that's a third. And this is a fifth, but approached by a third, so that's fine. And that's a sixth, and that's a third. That's a fifth. No, that's a third. And that's a seventh, and this is a fifth, but approached by opposite motion. Opposite motion, that's fine. So everything here, I think it's fine. So I think that is our 4-part writing done, and this is our quick piece. That was a quick speed writing session, doing a quick melody and some 4-part writing. Thank you for watching this video. Hope you got something out of it, and have a nice day.